So like it or not, pre-choruses are super common today, and therefore it's important for us to at least know how to utilize them, how to write them, because we may want to actually utilize them in our songs. So let's talk about how to write a pre-chorus in 3 easy steps. So before you start writing your pre-chorus, I think it's generally important to make sure that musically you already have the music for your verse and for your chorus. When I say the music, I mean generally the chord progression and the melody. And then lyrically, I think it's at least important to have an idea of what your chorus is going to say, but even more ideally, you actually have your chorus lyric done, or at least a draft of it. So the reason for this is usually you want your music to grow from the first verse to the pre-chorus to the chorus, and then again from the second verse to the pre-chorus to the chorus. But regardless, if you already have the music for your verse and for your chorus, it's a little easier to figure out what the step in between those 2 song sections should be. And I think it's important to have the chorus lyrics done because the pre-chorus lyric should lead directly into the point of the chorus. A pre-chorus is not a post-verse, it's a pre-chorus. And it's called that for a reason, because a pre-chorus is something that fundamentally belongs to the chorus of the song, not to the verse. So usually you would want your pre-chorus lyric to lead directly into the chorus. It's highly connected to the chorus. It's hard to do that if you don't actually know what your chorus is going to say. And I probably don't need to say this, but just in case, not every song needs to have a pre-chorus. I get that if you're listening to pop radio today, seemingly every song has a pre-chorus and a post-chorus, but you don't have to fall into that just because that's what you hear on the radio. It may work for that song, but that doesn't mean that it works for your song, and it doesn't mean that it's the right choice for your song. When making decisions about different song sections and whether to even have certain song sections like pre-choruses, post-choruses, bridges, sometimes even choruses, we really should look at it song by song, because there are even songs that maybe really don't need and really shouldn't have a chorus, much less a pre-chorus. You may have many songs that are perfectly fine or even ideal just going verse, chorus, rather than verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Or you may have a bunch of songs where a pre-chorus is actually really ideal and will fit the song. But first, we need to make sure before we start writing a pre-chorus for our song, is this a song that should have a pre-chorus? And I think there's 2 general ways to look at this. One way to look at it is musically. Does your verse music transition pretty smoothly into your chorus music? Because if your verse music flows into your chorus music in a way that you like, then maybe you shouldn't even have a pre-chorus in between. Now what I mean by flows into the chorus well is going to be up to you, because maybe the verse into the chorus is actually a pretty stark difference, and it sort of feels like, whoa, that chorus came out of nowhere. And you may think that's a bad thing for your song, or you may think that's a good thing for your song. I tend to actually like that effect in songs, and I think a lot of times it fits with the type of thing I'm trying to accomplish with a song. So very often I'll have that sort of stark difference between a verse exploding directly into a chorus, and that's actually intentional. I actually like it that way and think that it fits the song well in a lot of cases. But for your specific song, that might not be the case. Or you might have the opposite situation, where the verse flows really smoothly into the chorus, but you actually want a bit more of a stark difference when it comes to the chorus so that the chorus pops a little bit more. In which case, you might want to add a pre-chorus so that you have a song section directly before your chorus that actually intentionally contrasts it so that your chorus pops a little bit more. Another way to look at it is your verse lyrics into your chorus lyrics. Do your verse lyrics transition really well into your chorus lyrics? It feels like you have all the information you need for your chorus. Or does it feel like there's a bit of information that's missing? For instance, if your first verse is talking about, oh my goodness, what we had was so beautiful and it was amazing, and then your chorus just jumps into you suck, that might be a little bit confusing. Maybe you need a pre-chorus to fill in the gap of like, what we had was amazing, but you screwed it up in the pre-chorus, so that the chorus of and you suck actually makes sense. So put really simply, there are 2 big signs that maybe you should have a pre-chorus. One is an awkward musical transition from the verse to the chorus. Maybe you need a pre-chorus in between so that there isn't an awkward transition. And another sign is that the lyrics of your chorus don't actually make sense with all the information that you got from the lyrics of your verse. And there actually needs to be a little bit more information given, probably in the context of a pre-chorus, for your chorus lyric to actually make sense. So we're going for the easiest way to write write a pre-chorus, and we're going to assume at this point that you do already have at least the lyrics of the chorus or an idea of the lyrics of the chorus and the music of the verse and the chorus. So the first thing to do is to write some instrumentation or a chord progression for your pre-chorus that is different than the chord progression or instrumentation that you have in your verse or your chorus. To help make this extra simple, I'm going to give you 2 rules. Now keep in mind that these are rules for music or something creative, so there's a massive asterisk on this or quotation marks around it, where of course these are rules you don't have to follow, but they are good rules of thumb, especially if you're lost and you're trying to figure out, I just want a pre-chorus that works. Maybe it's your first pre-chorus you're ever writing. These are going to be general guidelines that I think are going to be good to follow, but of course, don't just blindly follow this rule like any other rule in anything creative. But the 2 rules are: avoid the 1 chord. If your song is in C major and you're writing the chord progression for your pre-chorus, just don't use the C major chord in that pre-chorus. If you care about why this matters, usually it's because you are probably using the 1 chord and even featuring the 1 chord, whether you know it or not, in your chorus, and that's what sort of helps it feel like this is the main point of the song. So a great way to make sure the pre-chorus doesn't take any thunder away from the chorus, it's really clear that the pre-chorus is a path to the main point of the song rather than the main point of the song itself, is just to not have a 1 chord, because then it never feels like it's at home or at rest, and it feels like, okay, this is going somewhere, this isn't actually the destination. And the second rule is going to be to pick the final chord of your pre-chorus intentionally as one that flows really well into the first chord of your chorus. So let's say your chorus actually starts with a 5 chord, a G major chord in the context of C major as an example. When considering the last chord of your pre-chorus, which is going to be the chord right before that chord, consider which chords will flow really nicely into that 5 chord. So maybe you want to consider utilizing a 6 chord at the end of your pre-chorus or a 4 chord at the end of your pre-chorus, because those will both flow really nicely into the 5 chord. What you probably really do want to avoid is having the pre-chorus end on a 5 chord and then the chorus start on a 5 chord, because that's going to feel like, well, it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't really change. Of course, like everything else, there's a way to make this work, but generally you probably don't want to go in that direction, so be intentional about the last chord of your pre-chorus being one that flows well into the first chord of your chorus. So step 2 of writing a pre-chorus is going to be writing the melody. And I think there are generally 2 types of melodies for pre-choruses. There are build melodies and there are break melodies. A build melody in a pre-chorus is probably more common. You could think something like Firework by Katy Perry, where clearly where she is singing in the verse is lower and where she is singing in the chorus is higher. And she sort of goes from that lower range in the verse all the way to that higher range that the chorus is going to be in that pre-chorus, where she's going up, up, up. So she's sort of smoothly transitioning from that verse vocal range to that chorus vocal range. You could think of it like climbing up the stairs from the verse vocal range to the chorus vocal range. Now a break pre-chorus, or maybe we could call it a calm before the storm pre-chorus, is going to do the opposite. Instead of going up the stairs, it's probably going to go back down into the basement, just so that the chorus really explodes. Because epicness and size in music is often very relative, this can be a great way to go if you want to make your chorus feel even bigger. This is utilized in music all the time. This is why very often if you have a song structure like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, that third verse right before that final chorus is often the smallest, most intimate verse of all. It's just the singer and the piano, or the singer and the acoustic guitar. And that's intentional. That really helps that last chorus to feel extra huge and explosive, because you're comparing it with the super small verse that came right before. We can utilize this same concept in a pre-chorus, where we actually have the pre-chorus be really, really small so that the chorus seems even bigger and more epic than it actually is. So the advantage of a build pre-chorus, or a build pre-chorus melody specifically, is that it helps to sort of bridge the gap vocally between your verse and your chorus, which means it has much better voice leading. As a vocalist, it's just going to be less taxing, because you are smoothly transitioning into that higher vocal range that's going to be more taxing on your voice. And the advantage of a break or calm before the storm style melody in your pre-chorus is going to be that it really helps your chorus to feel extra big, huge, and epic. And then also when writing your melody for your pre-chorus, a good idea is to really pay attention to the rhythm, because a lot of times when we're writing a single song and we have a verse and then we wrote our chorus, it's very common for the verse and chorus to actually be kind of similar rhythmically when it comes to the melody. So having the pre-chorus be obviously distinct rhythmically from your verse and your chorus when it comes to the melody can be a great way to really give that separation, so that you have a verse and then you have something really different in the pre-chorus, and then if your chorus is actually rhythmically really similar to the verse, you won't really even notice because it comes directly after the pre-chorus, where you had a notable departure from that rhythm that was established in the first verse. And then step 3 is, of course, writing the lyrics. And of course, like everything else, there are a million different ways to do this, but 2 good ways to go is to have a pre-chorus that essentially is a plot twist right before the chorus lyric, or lyrics that really help to provide a smooth transition into the lyrics and the subject of the chorus. Let's talk about 2 simple frameworks and 2 songs that utilize these frameworks. First, let's talk about Adele's Fire to the Rain. The Set Fire to the Rain framework you could see as a but-so framework. We have the verse, and then we have essentially a but pre-chorus before we have the so chorus. An oversimplification of the verse lyric is sort of, I fell in love with you, but then the pre-chorus is essentially but, in fact, it literally starts with the word but there's a side to you that I never knew. All the things you'd say, they were never true, and the games you'd play, you would always win. And then the chorus actually starts with the word but you can see it as a so thing that I just established in the pre-chorus. I set fire to the rain, watched it pour as I touched your face. Well, it burned while I cried, 'cause I heard it screaming out your name. So you can see this as the pre-chorus is essentially sort of the plot twist or the change that then makes sense of what you are actually saying in the chorus. We have the verse context, but pre-chorus, and then so chorus. And then for another framework, we can look at Vertical Horizon's You're a God. Now this you could call a so because framework, where the so is the pre-chorus establishing the what, and then the because is actually the why. So the verse says, I gotta be honest, I think you know, we're covered in lies and that's okay. There's somewhere beyond this, I know, but I hope I can find the words to say. So, never again, no, never again. Because, and in this case, it actually starts with 'cause, so short for because, you're a god and I am not, and I just thought that you would know. You're a god and I am not, and I just thought I'd let you go. So 2 super simple frameworks that you can apply to your pre-chorus into your chorus. We have the but pre-chorus with the so chorus, or we can have a so pre-chorus and a because chorus. Or seen another way, in the pre-chorus we establish what, and then in the chorus we actually explain why. Now again, of course, this is not even close to comprehensive. There's an infinite number of ways that you can handle this, but this is 2 easy frameworks that you can use and apply to your song if you are struggling, or if you just want to start with some basics and get your first pre-chorus done. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, something else you'll likely find helpful is my free guide on 20 different ways to start writing a song. If you want 20 different ways to start writing a song so that you aren't stuck starting your song the same way every time, which often results in some uninspired music, or sometimes you just get creatively dry because eventually you sit with that acoustic guitar and you're just like, man, I feel like I've done all the chord progressions. I don't even know where to start. But simply changing to starting with a really cool song title that is like, ooh, that's interesting. I wonder what a song called that would be about. Or starting with a melody or a bass line or a piano riff, or starting with a guitar hook instead of a guitar chord progression. All of those little changes can go a long way for your songs and keep you creatively invigorated. So be sure to check that out. It's at songwritertheory.com/free guide. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will talk to you in the next one.